Hi, welcome to the October release for TrustInSoft Analyzer. This is our overview of what's new in our October release for this year. Joining me today is Clement Gillard. Clement?
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. Clement will be running through all of the new features and demonstrating some of the key features as well in our October release. Before we get started, I just wanted to provide a couple of housekeeping rules. We will be recording this session. We ask that you also hold on questions if you want. You can submit questions in the Q&A, and we'll address those questions at the end of the webinar. This, as I mentioned, is being recorded as well, and it'll be made available for on-demand viewing at a later date in case you want to follow up. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started on just an overview of the October release. So the October release is now generally available for you to upgrade and use. And there's really three key themes that we focused on for this respective release. One is all around user experience. So you'll see us talking about a couple of key features related to the user experience, simplifying the overall adoption of TrustInSoft Analyzer and helping our users to utilize the tooling. You'll notice quite a few UI or GUI enhancements as well related to that. There's also been some assistant capabilities that have been added, again, still focusing around the usability and the ease of use of the solution, right? So with these assisted capabilities, it dramatically reduces the overall time to perform things like setting up or tuning of your respective analysis. And then last but very not least is the theme around advanced compliance and performance. So there's been some additional core features and capabilities that we've added around both improving the analysis speed as well as some new compliance support that we've added to the solution. So talking about the first theme or the focus area around intuitive user experience, and as I mentioned, Clement is going to go through a demonstration of many of these features, but just to highlight two primary features related to user experience. One is the addition of the project manager GUI. So earlier this year, we introduced the TrustInSoft project manager, which was CLI based. We've now added a GUI for that. So you can pick and choose if you either want to do it in CLI or in the GUI. And then an additional capability or a new feature is the root cause investigator. So unlike other tools in the market, we're not just going to tell you about an alarm or an area that needs to be investigated. We're also going to help you investigate exactly what is the root cause of the respective alarm to dramatically reduce your overall debugging time when you're performing analysis on code. The assistant capabilities is all about helping you improve the speed at which you're performing your analysis. So one is related to the analysis setup, where as many users, because this webinar is specifically targeted to our customers and users of the product, as many users will know, when you need to write what we call analysis drivers to perform the analysis of respective code. So we have analysis setup capabilities or assisted capabilities to help speed up that overall process. The other is in the automated analysis tuning. So with this, we'll provide step-by-step guidance on the specific tuning suggestions that we have related to the alarms and bugs that we've identified so that you can reduce the overall false positives that you get out of the tooling as well, thereby focusing only on the alarms that are pertinent or important to you. Last but not least, as I mentioned, is the theme around advanced compliance and performance. And one of those capabilities that we've had in the reporting is alarm mapping to CWE. So if you're interested if you're looking at using our solution from a cybersecurity perspective, and you want to see what the respective UBs are and how they're mapped to CWEs, that is now directly available in the reporting, as well as then some optimization around C++. So we did talk about some of the optimization improvements. Clement will run through that in some demonstration as well of the simply enhancement in performance in analyzing C++. And then ARINC 653 support has been added now to the solution specifically for our customers in aeronautics. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Clement, who's going to run through in detail some of those features, as well as a demonstration of the respective features. Clement?
Thank you, Gavin. So I will start with the changes to the root cause investigator. I will share my screen for that. Screen number 2. Okay. So I have a project here. So simple configuration, simple main, and so on. There's a little library behind it. Doesn't really matter. So I'm going to run my usual command, this config load, TrustInSoft config, and the GUI. Yep. And that will show us the new root cause investigator. So we have moved a few things around. The main change for most users is going to be that the most used options from the most used features of the root cause investigator are now in the middle of the screen. So if I want to run my parsing, run my analysis, it's here. If I want to change the precision settings, so the S level, the split strategy, the merge after loop, it's all here. Even if I want to unfocus the call stack, before you had to look through the left panel, and now it's right there in the middle. We have also revamped both the left panel and the bottom panel. You can see there are way less tabs now. You can actually still put whatever tab you want here if you need it. But otherwise here for now, I just have the values tab and the potential UBs. And on the left panel, I still have the overview, just like before. The alarm inspector, remember this is a feature we introduced with version 1.47, the previous release. We have merged multiple value inspectors into one block here. So if I do show defs, I can do show defs. So for example, here I take I show defs. It now shows here. If I want to do occurrences instead, I can switch to occurrence to showing the occurrences. And I also have the call tree. So if I move down my call tree, I can see. Actually, no. Okay, I can't see it. Anyway, so that's it for the left panel and bottom panel have changed a little bit. So now another feature that has been asked a lot. So here, for example, for the alarm inspector, I need to have the whole dependency graph computation. I remember you need to put a whole program graph on the command line. I forgot to put it. So bad. Well, now I can put it from the GUI, from the root cause investigator. So I can just click on that button, and now it's telling me, oh, you can just run the value analysis again. And it's now going to run it with the option set. And so now I can use the alarm inspector. And something else, I can maybe change the S level and see what that changes in my analysis. And so something that has been requested a lot was, how do I know which options I have changed? So now we have this new button at the top, analysis configuration. And when I click on it, I can see a list of all of the options that I have changed. And so here I see, so I've changed the whole program graph option. I have changed the S level function option. I can from there edit them. I can delete them. So go back to the previous setting. I can also put in my clipboard a copy of those options as JSON. So yeah, you can see that from the GUI. But something that happens also very often, I close my GUI and I forgot to know to take a note of what I changed. Well, now when I kill the root cause investigator server, it tells me which parameters I have changed so that I can go back to the log and integrate them into my configuration. But that's not all, because if instead of writing the command line by hand, I use instead the TrustInSoft Project Manager, again, a feature from 1.47, I'm going to go through the same motions. So enable the whole dependency graph, change the S level, run the value analysis. And now when I close it, it's not going to tell me which option I've changed. Instead, it's going to tell me I have updated the TISA configuration file. And indeed, if I do git status here, I see that my config has changed. And if I do git diff, I can see that indeed it added the S-level function and the whole program graph option automatically. So that resolves that problem of I forgot which options that I've changed. Now you can see them from the GUI, from the log if you're not using TrustInSoft Project Manager, or if you're using the TrustInSoft Project Manager, you can see them. It can update your configuration automatically. I think I forgot to show something, so I'm going to show it in a different order than I intended. Sorry. So in the inspector panel here, so we have show defs and occurrences. We have this new panel as well, track value. So let's say I wanted to know when the variable OP got value 42, right? Before I would have to check a lot of different states using the values panel and so on. Well, now I can use this track value feature, and it's going to highlight all of the places where OP has a value that includes or does not include value 42. So for example, I know that at this statement here, value 42 was included in the possible values for OP. And actually, it got that from this statement here, this TISMEC unknown. So now I have found where that value 42 appeared. That's going to be very nice when I'm looking for a specific value that causes an alarm for me. Now I can do that very easily with this color code on the side here in the root cause investigator. Okay, so for the root cause investigator, yeah, so the most common settings are now in the center of the screen. We have less clutter in the left panel. We have this new value tracker. You can consult and export the options that you modified from the GUI itself or from the log. And if you're using the TrustInSoft Project Manager, it's automatic. Your configuration is automatically changed. And also, as a side note, we have improved the alarm inspector, again, a feature from 1.47. So now it's giving more insights and also something that we'll talk about at the end. Second improvement that I wanted to talk to you about is the TrustInSoft Project Manager GUI. So so I'm going to run this new command tpmg, TrustInSoft Project Manager GUI, and it's going to open this interface. Okay, so now I haven't any recorded project, so I can open a project, and it turns out that I have a project that's already ready. I have used the TrustInSoft Project Manager, but the CLI, the command line interface, I haven't used the graphical interface on it. So I have this TrustInSoft folder, but I can say that I want to open this. Oops, what happened? TinyCrypt, open. Yeah, okay. So here I have my my analysis configuration, all of my analysis configurations. I can see them here. I can click on them and have a little more details about why the analysis has this status. I can inspect the results. So I can see here which alarms have occurred and so on. From there, I can run the analysis. So here I can run my two analyses again. I can decide that I'm going to run the the root cause investigator from TPMG, from the project manager GUI. So here, again, it's the same, same graphical interface, but now it's all integrated into one app. From here, I can also generate the TIS report, right? So it opens automatically in my browser. So you can see the TIS report. We will come back to the TIS report later. And so, yeah, so this, the idea is that for now, you have a lot of the features of the project manager already in the graphical process of project manager. And with time, we are going to put basically all of our new features as much as possible. We're going to integrate them into this graphical interface. I have to show the dashboard as well. So it's giving me nice statistics about my, my analysis campaign. Okay, I think that's all for TPMG for now. Is there any questions so far? I don't see anyone. Do not hesitate to use the Q&A feature or the raise hand feature. If there are no questions, I will continue. So graphical driver generator. So let me come back to a state, an empty state. Okay, I'm going to delete my analysis. Actually, no, I'm going to delete everything because there's some things I want to show. So okay, and start TPMG again. So now I'm still going to analyze TinyCrypt, but this time I have removed the TrustInSoft Project Manager files. So it's I'm going to create a project from the graphical interface. So again, I'm going to select my directory. So it's going to be TinyCrypt. It's going to give automatically a project name. I can choose my architecture. So here, yeah, x86-64, fine with me. Then it's going to ask, well, how do you compile your project? Thankfully here, I already have prepared a compilation database, so it knows that there are 27 C files that it's supposed to compile. Otherwise, I could also give the various options by hand here, but I have the compilation database, so it's better to do it like that. When I go continue, you can see it's going to list all of the files and try to parse them using the compilation database. And so that's how it's going to tell me, okay, I have 27 files that I have successfully verified. And so, yeah, now the graphical interface for the TrustInSoft Project Manager knows about all of these files and how they are compiled. And that's going to help with a few new features. So if I go continue, okay, successfully created. And I'm back to this interface, but now it's empty because I deleted everything. But without moving from the GUI, I will be able to create a new analysis using this button. So new analysis. There are 3 ways to generate a new analysis. I can generate a driver, I can import a C or C++ driver, or I can import a JSON description. I'm going to start with import a C or C++ driver. So I have already written a driver for an analysis here in driver.c. It's a basic analysis driver. It's going to drive one entry point with some TISMake unknown. Doesn't really matter. What matters is I gave that file to TPMG and it was able to parse it. And now it's asking me, well, which entry point is that? So I only have one entry point in this file. So I'm going to select it, going to name the analysis after the entry point. And very important, it's going to find that I need multiple files. So I only specified this file, but the TrustInSoft Project Manager GUI is able to, because it has all of that parsing information, it's able to detect automatically the list of files that I need. And so here, it detected that I have a dependency on this other file. In any case, if I'm not glad with what it detected, I can still go to edit the list of files. So for example, let's say, oh, you detected this one, but actually I wanted that one as well. Well, I can add it. And now I have these 2 files. But once I have determined my list of files, I can go to the final options. So I can choose between level 1 and level 2. Here, this is a level 2 driver, so I'm going to keep it at level 2. I'm going to set a global S level to 100. And the split return strategy, I'm going to keep it at none. And when I do generate driver, I now have this new analysis config in my list, and I can run it from here, and it's giving me the same results as before. So this one has two undefined behavior in this function. A second way to create a new analysis is by generating a driver. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell the analyzer, well, no, the project manager, which function I want to create a driver for. So here, let's say I want a TCHMAC update. Again, it's calling the analysis name by the name of the function. And if I go to generate, now I have an interactive way of generating a driver. So here it's giving me this interface where every parameter to the function TCHMAC update, I can choose what I want that parameter to be. And so, for example, here there's a parameter called CTX, and it's a pointer. You can see it's a pointer to a struct TCHMAC state struct. And so insert pointer, so I can choose whether I want it null or allocated. If I want it null, I can't do anything more. But if I want it allocated, now I can expand it and say, okay, I want one record of that type, and I want its hash state to look like something like this. So I want the IV array to have 42 in position 3, or whatever you want. I can set so all of the arrays here. I can set any value that I want in any order. But most likely this CTX parameter, it's going to be read by the function. So I want maybe to generalize all of its fields. So what I can do is I can click on this little menu here and say I want all fields to any value. And now recursively, all of the fields of this structure are now generalized. So as if I had done TISMAC unknown on the whole TCHMAC state struct. Second parameter is a void const star. So apparently any data. And so by default, because the graphical interface doesn't know what type it should be, it sets it to null. But I can also say that I want it allocated. In this case, it reverts to an array of characters. So if I want an array of, say, 12 values, and I want them to be uninitialized, I can do that. And then the last parameter is an unsigned int, probably the length in bytes of the data. So let's put 12 here again. I can also put the minimum or the maximum automatically, but that's probably not going to fare well with this analysis. So here I have no globals, but the project manager GUI is also able to handle when there are globals that are used in the function. And so I could also set them up with this graphical interface. And then again, the same options as before. So I can choose between level 1 and level 2. Again, I have put some uninitialized values, no, some unknown values in there. So level 1 will not go well. Let's do level 2. I will put some S level and a non-return strategy. And then I generate the driver, and it appears again here. And I can run it from the list here. So 5 UBs. Oh, this one has a lot of UBs. Okay. There's a third way to generate a driver some semi-automatically, and that's by importing a JSON driver description. So we have a description format in JSON. You can look in the manual for how it works. And so from the TrustInSoft Project Manager GUI, you can create a new analysis based on a JSON description, and it will work much the same as the other two. So it will automatically find the list of files that are needed. It will automatically find how to make the driver, and it will create the new analysis. Okay, back to my slides. So yeah, the graphical driver generator. So it's all contained within the TrustInSoft Project Manager GUI. You can import an existing C or C++ driver like you would before, or a JSON description, or, and I think this is the best way personally, you can just make a new one all in the project manager GUI without exiting it, just with mouse and keyboard. You can do all of that. And in all cases, you have automatic file dependency detection. So it builds a list of files automatically, provided that the project is set up with TPMG. You will have automatic file dependency detection. Then CWEs. So if I go back to a report, so we have added new icons in the report. So if I go here to the list of alarms, you can see now we have these new icons here, this new column standards, and it's telling me that this alarm is here, I think an integer overflow, yeah. It's related to CWE 191, CWE 190, CWE 128, and also CERT C rule int 32. Right, so I have some of them. I have them here. I can expand by clicking on two more, one more, and so on. If I go at the bottom here, I also have a little more verbose version. And every time it's a button. If you see at the very bottom of my screen here, so it's a button to for CWEs. It's a button to cwe.mitr.org. So it's getting me to the actual specification for this CWE. And for the CERT C violations, it's roughly the same. It's getting me to this documentation here that gets me more information about what that rule is. So these new icons and new buttons, they will appear here in the consolidated alarms tab. Basically everywhere where I have an alarm description, I will find them again. So here, when I'm looking at an analysis, the alarms of the analysis, they also have these buttons here. And also in the standards tab here. So if you remember the standards tab, it will contain CWE and CERT C report, but CERT C report is only when you have -CERT C labeled. I didn't here. This was a feature that I introduced in 1.47. But for now, I have this CWE report telling me all of the CWEs that were found in my program and how many times they were found. So now I can do my CWE report directly from the TrustInSoft report. I don't have to use an external tool. So that's great. So yeah, as a recap, it's these new icons, these new pills here. In every area you have an alarm description and in the standards tab. And when you click on them, it takes you to the relevant references on the internet. And we also added that part for CERT C. So you can also have links to the relevant CERT C reference. Finally, some technical changes. So there are a lot of things that are part of this new release that I can't really introduce in this demo. First of them is the ARINC 653 support, specifically for the Apex interface. So before you would have had to provide stubs for the whole interface. Now these stubs are essentially provided to you through the usual TrustInSoft libc. So there's an option for that. I invite you to look in the manual for that option if that interests you. Initial enroll, that's a new feature of the level 2 analyzer mode. If you remember, level 2, it needs S level whenever there is path splitting or whenever you have a loop. And so now we have changed the rules a little bit, which means that you need it less often when it comes to loops. As long as a loop has only one execution path, it will not require S level. So the intent here is that you will spend less time on false alarms because of a precise loop that level 2 deemed it wanted to do imprecisely. Well, now, as long as there is only one execution path, the loop will be analyzed precisely without any S level. Again, if you want more details, I invite you to go look in the changelog and in the manual. TISA, a new tool in the TrustInSoft suite. So I talked earlier about the fact that the alarm inspector in the root cause investigator has been improved. And as part of those improvements, we also bring TISA, So if you remember, the alarm inspector, it gives you hints as to, oh, maybe it's a false alarm because this setting is not what it should be, and so on. Well, TISTune is a tool that quickly applies those hints, and it creates essentially a separate configuration that has more S level, more val split return, and so on. And so essentially, it's able to automatically eliminate false alarms. So I don't really have time to present it here, but I invite you to go look in the manual for what TISTune can do, and if it fits a fit for your project. TISRun, if you remember TISRun, so the project in the project manager, it didn't want to run an analysis twice if it already had results for it. And something that I often saw, because I train new users, is that people were often tripped by that because you change the file, you change the config, so you expect TISRun to run it again, and now you have to put TISRun force. So I'm glad to report that TISRun is now a little bit smarter when it comes to caching the results. And so it will not run the analysis again if it already has results, but also if the configuration has not changed, and if none of the files that are listed in the configuration have changed either. So hopefully you won't have to use TISRun --force, at least not as often as before. Something that's really nice, configuration files are now in JSON 5, also the JSON for humans. So it's basically a standard for JSON. It's a little more standardized than what we used before, which was JSON with comments, which had a limited support in IDEs and editors. Well, now it's much more likely that your IDE has support for JSON 5. And also, so JSON 5, it introduces a couple of things. There's more ways to make strings, but there's also some niceties like training commas. I know that's something that trips everyone all of the time. You write your configuration and you have too many commas in there, and now it doesn't pass. Well, now that's a thing of the past. In JSON 5, you are allowed training commas. So hopefully that will help you. And also, as mentioned by Gavin, so a lot has been done on the C++ side. So a lot has been done with performance, upwards of 30% performance improvement in both the parsing and the value analysis. We have some UX work has been done so that in the root cause investigator, some STL containers now have a more human way of representing their data compared to the way it was before, where it was pointer in directions and all of the STL inheritance. And we also have improved the support of some C++20 features. So now there are less features that we do not support. But this is all very hard to show you, so I don't really have a demo for that. If you want more information about all of these technical changes, I invite you to go look in the changelog for version 2024.10, or go in the manual. You will find descriptions of all of these. So please go look there if that interests you. And thank you for listening to me. So now we'll have some time for questions.
Thank you, Clement. I don't see any questions in the Q&A panel, so if you do have any questions, just please pop them in there and we can address those questions. I guess one question I do have, Clement, and you had mentioned this already, in summary, you do a lot of training. One question I have for you, I suppose, related to some of the new features we have, specifically assisted analysis setup and the automated tuning features. What are some of the common errors that you see when you're delivering training that these are going to help with?
So the graphical driver generator is really going to help, especially new users, because it's a really easy way to get into creating an analysis driver. I think from right now we have a lot of people that are a bit find this kind of driver writing a bit scary. They are typically more on the QA side and not much on the writing C side. So having the ability to describe an analysis all graphically is going to be a big improvement for them. And also, so TISTune, I think, will help a lot of people, especially in the early stages of analysis, because it means you will spend less time on false alarms and more time on real alarms that are really what interests you when you're doing an analysis.
Okay, awesome. I don't see any questions in the Q&A panel, so I guess we'll give it maybe 30 seconds more, and if not, then we will end. And as I had mentioned, this will be made available on demand for if you want to review it at your leisure after today's session. But with that, I still don't see any questions. So thank you for your time, Clement, today. And we can close off there and end for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.